You might not realize what a blessing it is to have Reverend Darrick Jackson with us today. Yeah, some of you do know. Reverend Darrick Jackson is the Director of Ministries for Lifelong Learning of the UU Ministers Association and an affiliated community minister with the Second Unitarian Church of Chicago. He does come to us this morning from Chicago. He's one of the authors in the book Centering. This was a congregational read several years ago, Navigating Race, Authenticity, and Power in Ministry. Reverend Darrick is active in DRUM, the UU Ministry for People of Color, and is the treasurer for Healing Moments, which is a ministry for caregivers of people with Alzheimer's. He is also the managing director of the Chicago Playback Theater Ensemble and is an avid knitter, and I know he is in good company in this congregation. Reverend Darrick also served as this congregation's intern minister 15 years ago.
Well, actually, I finished at 16.
16 years ago.
But who's counting?
We're not counting. And he was ordained here. He was ordained here, right? Yeah. Come on, you can make some noise. Yeah. I'm personally grateful to call Reverend Darrick my friend, and especially grateful to the 8th Principal Task Force who brought us all together this morning. We thank you. So Reverend Darrick will now call us into worship.
Let us enter into worship with these words by my friend, Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore. We seek to be a home for all who desire our company. We seek to make a welcome for all those in search of good news. Come, little children, teens, young adults and elders. Come, families in great diversity. Come to this loving home and safe harbor, but not to find a place to escape from the world. This is a community of engagement and of creativity. We come together to create boldly, dangerously. We must create the beloved community with an awareness of how difficult it is, because it is deep ministry. It is a ministry that challenges us to bring our whole selves and engage deeply and for the long haul. Our faith, our tradition must call us into community. Our task is to create spaces where we might know and value each other. Let us listen to our stories. Our reading this morning is by the Reverend Carol Thomas Sissel. Diverse, multicultural, inclusive, welcoming. If I made a list of every single Unitarian Universalist congregation I have served, visited, or worshiped at, they would have a few things in common, including the use of these words. Wherever they are, more often than not, the words are proudly combined with another expression that has been embraced by everyday UU vernacular. All are welcome here. The congregation, churches, and fellowships on my list all have one or more of these words proudly on display. I know why they are used so freely. Initially, I feel embraced by them. There's a warmth of recognition when my eyes capture their sight. A sense of being acknowledged and valued moves from heart and head, and then a smile settles on my lips. My heart blooms. I feel like the welcome table has been set for me, and I eagerly pull up a chair. All of this takes place in an immeasurable minute. And the next moment, it is tempered. I remember past experiences and unconsciously recalculate and measure my response. The petals of my heart close a bit, protecting the delicate stigma and stamen that lie within. Fear of disappointment rises within me like the sun. I love these words. I want what they promise, but I have been repeatedly disappointed. It's simply not enough to print them on an order of service or in a newsletter. They must have meaning and intention at the core. A desire for multicultural worship is wonderful, but it will not flower if that seed of yearning is not nurtured by a commitment and a plan. Without true resolve, planning, and measurable goals behind the things I see, my trust and hope are broken anew. Words matter. They lift and hold us, they illuminate the future and shower us with possibilities. When misused, they hurt. Verbal cuts and abrasions sting. Language leaves wounds that become scars. Words matter. If you and your congregation are not ready to meet the promises you craft and then share with the world, stop publishing them. Please don't invite me to sit at your table unless you have a warm, satisfying meal to serve. It doesn't have to be a gourmet feast. A potluck is fine. The souffle may have only risen halfway. The cookies may be burned on the edges. The pasta can be overcooked. That's okay. I am starving. What it must be is fulfilling, real, made with love, and ready to be eaten. Remember, I believe what you say and write. Words matter. It is so good to be here with you. I have been eagerly waiting for this moment since I first got contacted by Izzy to come here, to come back home. It's been 15 years since I was ordained, right in front of the fireplace there. And I think about you often. I think about you almost every day. Because who I am as a minister was shaped by you. You helped me find who I was, find that core within me. And I know that my ministry has every bit, a part of it comes from the time I spent with you. And I am so glad to see so many familiar faces and to see so many new faces as well. To be in this space of love and care. I remember the words that you pledged at my ordination, that you pledged to walk with me in the unity of spirit, in the bond of peace, and in all the ways of truth and love. And I have felt you walking with me. I have felt you supporting me. I hear time by time that, a moment from someone will share that, oh, you notice the words in the UU world. I remember the moment when I was serving in Munson and the tornado came and the steeple came down and you supported us. There were just moments that you were there, not physically, but your spirit was there with me. That sense of truth and love held me and still holds me. And that is part of what we mean when we're trying to achieve the beloved communities that you so lovingly talk about. To be loving and caring. But sometimes I wonder if we really all know what beloved community means. We say it a lot, but do we have a shared understanding, or are we actually using words that just have meaning for us? The term beloved community really first came to prominence with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And the King Center says that the beloved community is a global vision in which all people can share in the wealth of the earth, and that this will be achieved by nonviolence. This sense of a vision where we are all together sharing and engaging. But sometimes I think that we confuse the sense of sharing in the wealth of the earth by a sense of achieving that by sameness that doesn't recognize the differences that are there, that we all become this sense of a one. I think that there is a little bit more, and I like the sense of a beloved community that Bell Hooks talks about. And she says that beloved community is formed not by the eradication of difference, but by its affirmation, by each of us claiming the identities and cultural legacies that shape who we are and how we live in the world. Beloved community is not that we are all the same, but we bring all of our differences together and we notice them and we name them and engage them. And that means that there might be conflict because we bringing all ourselves to the conflict, but that's okay. We work through that conflict. We live together in the world with all of ourselves, all of our unique pieces. And that is very you, that we come to this place not to be one person, but to be many in the same space. It's why that we don't have a singular type of theology that we all must come into believing. We bring it in that space and we support each other on the journey. But what if we took it beyond supporting each other on our spiritual journeys, but on our life journeys? Bringing all of our uniqueness, all of our variety of selves into the space and honoring and sharing that. This sense of beloved community can only happen if we care for it, like we care for a garden. Gardens take a lot of work. They don't just magically happen. Even this idea of letting our gardens go wild doesn't really mean that we just walk away and just let it just happen. It still takes a lot of work. If we don't pay attention to our garden, if we don't let things get what they need, then the weeds start taking over. And we get all sorts of things that we don't want that are taking away the life of all the flowers and all the other plants that are there. The weeds, the systems of oppression in our world that take away the lives of the people around us. And so beloved community is tending to those weeds, tending to those systems of oppression so that everyone can flower. Everyone can be their full selves. And that is why I like the eighth principle, because it is a tool for creating beloved community. This idea that we covenant to affirm and promote, journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. There's a whole lot of words there. There's a whole lot packed into that. But one of the things that I like is it first starts off that we're journeying towards spiritual wholeness. This isn't just a practical thing. This is for our lives. This is for our spiritual center. It's theologically grounded. It is for saving us. It is salvation. This is our universalism talking right here. In building a diverse, multicultural community. By our actions, not our thoughts, not our words, but our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. And sometimes people, and I get this question often actually, well, isn't this implied in the other principles? I guess yes, but sometimes we need to be explicit. If it's just implied, it means that we can just move past them because we didn't just pick up on that piece. But when we're actually explicit, it calls our attention. It asks us to not put it to the side, but bring it to the forefront. It asks us to really do the hard work. And adopting the eighth principle is just the beginning of a journey. It's not the ending. This principle is asking us to do some deep, hard work. Otherwise, we are kind of like the servants of the Queen of Hearts painting the roses red. We are just setting the color. We're just putting words, but we are actually getting to the heart. Just like in the reading, without true resolve, planning, and measurable goals behind the things I see, my trust and hope are broken anew. If we just say the words, they're there and they're nice. And we do feel like we've accomplished something. And you have accomplished something by even being able to say the words. But if there's not more, if you're not actually engaging and doing the work and setting some goals and plans, then you are bringing people in with the excitement of these words, the exciting of this promise, and letting them down. Those within the congregation and those who walk in the door. This work makes a difference. It truly does. A friend of mine tells a story of going to one of our congregations to do anti-racism training. And she spends a whole weekend doing this training. And at the end, one of the members of color comes to her. And she just thanks her for doing this training. And she said, "Thank you so much. Everyone is so white here." And then she leans even closer and says, "Even the walls are white." She didn't see herself in this space. And that is part of the nurturing of the garden, the nurturing of the beloved community. Because when we're nurturing a garden, we don't just throw the flowers out there and hope for the best. We place them in the right place so that they get the right amount of sun. We make sure that they get the right water and the right nutrients. We have to provide the same elements of care to those who are here. And that means to being able to see yourself every once in a while or connecting with your experience, to feel that you are part of the community and it's actually embracing you and not just there for window dressing. And there have been moments I have been in congregations and spaces and felt like, am I here because you want me to be here, or all of me? Or are you here because you are happy to have a person of color in this space? And sometimes it's not very clear which one it is. And sometimes I would say it's often both at the same time. And that is hard to be in that space. This is hard work. And I know that it might feel scary to begin this journey. But I know that you can do this work with deep integrity. You are a loving community. There is a reason why you have had so many interns. You have loved and cared for us. You have allowed us, and at least I can only speak for me, but I also have talked to some of the other interns in passing. We always share, it's like, oh, you're a Watertown intern? But you have allowed us to be authentic. You allowed me to be authentic. Several of you have mentioned the moment when I had you do some hand dancing during the service. And that pushed you, I know pushed a lot of you outside of your comfort zones, but you did it. You did it. And I know that some of you even came to me and said that you liked it. That being moved. So I know that you can embrace and accept something different and engage with it and not be afraid to move into that. And if you can love and care for every person who visits this community or might visit this community the way you loved and cared for me, then I think you can do this work. You are ready to do the work of the eighth principle. You have it within you. You have done it. You've done that work with me. You can do that with each other and create the space where everyone can come and be their full authentic selves and journey and work for justice, to transform all the systems of oppression that exist, to look at who you are and be the congregation you can be. It means letting things go. It means changing some things that you've gotten comfortable with. But that change is going to open the space for wonderful things to happen and for new ways of living and being and breathing and worshiping together. And you will be the better for it. May you journey into the garden of beloved community and tend and care for it and allow everyone to bloom and blossom. Blessed be.